Yes. Welcome to the Kojo show on Usmaan Talks United. I am your host, Kojo, from the Free Midfield podcast. And today we are going to go a bit more international. I say international, it's just Europe, it's just around the corner, but it is what it is. I'm joined by two fantastic guests. Now, this guy was here last week, firstly. Yusuf, how you doing again, bro?
I'm well, thanks, man. How are you? Thank you for having me on your show, man. I appreciate it.
Every time, man. You were great last week, so I thought, you know what, why not? Like, I put in the group chat and you said, yeah, I'm free. I was like, come through, man, of course, anytime. Now, as for this one, he came on my podcast, Free Midfield, so a while back, and I've always waited on for some time. I've always thought about when's the perfect moment, and then literally I thought about this show, and I was like, yeah, this is the perfect moment. I miss this guy. Roberto, how you doing, my brother?
What's up, Kojo? It's been a minute. Yeah, man, I'm doing well. Obviously, here in the United States, it's starting to heat up finally with, it's starting to feel like summer. It's like 25°C right now, actually. So it's great to be on it. Like I said, it's a pleasure to obviously speak about everything that's going on in football. And I can't wait to talk about what we're going to talk about in Spain and in France as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. And I'm happy that you're listening to some good brother, because over here, literally this morning, there's a bit of sun. Hit 11 o'clock, it rained from 11 to 2. Then wind came out of nowhere. They started raining again, nice windy again. So that's the UK for you, isn't it? All right. Anyway, let's get started with the show, and we will start in Spain with the about to end title race. Now, it was between Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, who have been top for a while. Barcelona and Sevilla were there for a little bit as well, until unfortunately they suffered a 4-0 defeat against Villarreal last weekend. Roberto, I'll come to you first. I want to talk about Atletico first, just because they have been top for a long time. I think for majority of the season, to be more fair. And Luis Suarez plays a big part in that. Obviously, joining from Barcelona. If they were to win this league this season, do you think it would be a case of they win that one and then it's back to Real Madrid and Barcelona doing their thing, or do you think this season could really catapult them onto another level?
No, I think this season has proven that Atletico Madrid have been such a consistent side for a good decade. As you know, you've seen them win La Liga before. You've seen them win UEFA, the Europa League, Copa del Rey, and other domestic titles. This is not a team that's a one-off thing. No, they have been consistently, fighting for top three, for the title, have been to Champions League finals before. Obviously, having that consistency of having Diego Simeone as their manager. No, I think they have every right to always be favorites in La Liga. I even said that, and I was doing it in my podcast, Limit Football. I even said to Joe, it's like, no, this Atletico Madrid side, looking at what they've had, looking at the strengths that they've reinforced, and now you bring in a consistent striker who we know, have we seen for many years perform at the highest level at Liverpool, Ajax, Barca, Uruguay. When you have someone like that as that X factor, it can go a long way. And it proves. And it's showing that when it comes to how well Atletico Madrid have performed this season. Okay, it's not been the easiest path as we've seen, because they have been sputtering a bit in terms of finishing off the season. We were assuming that Atletico Madrid, given their run of form, that they were going to finish the season quite early on. But knowing the sides like Barcelona, Real Madrid, who know how to perform in these type of matches and knows how to win titles like La Liga, they came at pressured. Atletico Madrid, their last title was 7 years ago, in 2014. Yeah. We're looking at a similar situation now where, they're going into the last match day needing to win La Liga. And I think it's credit to what Simeone has done with this side. I think obviously, you look at the stars that they have there, you can go on about Marcos Llorente, Koke, All Black, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, maybe the best if you want to go for argument's sake. You look at how, well kept that defense is, and the style what Simeone has done has allowed them to be so competitive. So yeah, I think Suarez coming in provided much more depth and more of an X factor of trying to attack and try to go into the attack. But no, I think honestly, if we go into next season with this Atletico Madrid side, win or lose La Liga, I think they would still be among the favorites and would obviously contend for that La Liga title with Barca and Real Madrid.
Do you think it benefits them that Valladolid is the final game, considering they're 19th and essentially down and out for the count?
I mean, nothing happens until you hit the pitch, man. You know this. You can't underestimate any teams. Valladolid, as you know, they're in a situation where they have to win to also not get relegated. So you're looking at two situations where you're like, both of them are going for something. One's going for the La Liga title. The other one's trying to stay in La Liga. So in a way, yes, on paper, Atletico Madrid should indeed go for that result and go and win La Liga, but it's not going to be easy. I think we've seen that all this season, how Atletico Madrid have kind of been that side that have not been able to maintain, these type of like leads. They've blown leads, they've gotten draws, they've lost points because of that. And it really got them into the situation where, they could have been champions weeks ago, but now they're in a situation where they have to win. And maybe the pressure is heating up because, they're the side that needs to go and win it as well. So, yeah, it could indeed factor in their favor, but it's not going to be easy this weekend.
Absolutely not. And we'll cross the city to their rivals. Yusuf, Real Madrid are second. They are also, of course, in the title races between these two now. They also have a difficult game on their hands, to be fair to them. They've got Villarreal, who are essentially trying to finish in either 5th or 6th. The gap being 1 point between them and, I believe, Sociedad and Betis.
Yes.
I should be correct. Yes. So, how tough a game is this for them, considering their form? And if they were to not win La Liga, with all the rumours of Zidane potentially leaving at the end of the season, do you think if they don't win it, that's him certifiably done, or do you think it matters whether they win it or not?
I mean, I've been reading a lot on the reports of Zidane's future for months now, and it's almost as if whenever he seems he's on the brink, the team seem to they find a way. And I think it was post Christmas time, Real Madrid went on a great run, and as Roberto rightly said before, Atletico could have wrapped the title up a while ago. So the fact that we're even at this point is I don't think you could really envision this probably a couple of months ago. I think it was nailed on that Atletico would win quite comfortably, and I think that with Real Madrid going out in the Champions League in the manner that they did, I think the pressure is obviously Real Madrid is arguably the biggest club in the world, right? Probably along with Barcelona. And so if you don't win trophies, I mean, it's failure, really, isn't it? In simple terms, these clubs have such huge financial gain, and I think Zidane is. I think it's a possibility that he might get sacked. You never really know. I'm not really too sure about his relationship with Florentino Perez. But I have been reading that Massimiliano Allegri is tipped to take over if he doesn't win La Liga. So it'll be interesting to see if that actually does happen. I expect Atletico will win the La Liga. I think Villarreal will be a tough game for Madrid. I think obviously they're also in the Europa League final against our team, Kojo. So I mean, it's going to be a difficult game for them, and I think Zidane will be very lucky to keep his job if Atletico win the title, because I think at the end of the day they're competing for the Champions League and La Liga. So if you don't win that, then I think that's going to be problems.
But this might be a stupid question, no Real Madrid's history of managers, but a man that's won they won 4 Champions Leagues out of 5 in 5 years, and has won La Liga titles, easily being one of your most successful managers in the last decade anyway. Would it be smart to sack him during knowing his track record? Yusuf?
Yeah, I mean, on paper, it's absolutely ridiculous that you would think that they would even consider sacking him. But I think the fact that they're having talks with other managers, I mean, that's seriously sort of undermining the manager, right? While he's in a job, and considering everything that he's achieved, it's actually incredible. When you hear debates about who are the best managers in the world, it's always the same people that I hear. I hear Pep Guardiola, obviously, Jurgen Klopp, obviously as well, but I never hear Zidane's name. And you make a great point that is it 4 Champions Leagues that he's won as a manager? Is it 4?
Yeah, 3 in a row.
3. Yeah, 3.
Oh no, he won 3 in a row.
Carlo
Ancelotti won the other one. Sorry, yes.
Ancelotti, yes. So I mean, I mean, he could retire right now and he'd be going down as the greatest ever managers. And we're talking about a guy that his job is at threat. I think with Florentino Perez and Real Madrid in particular, there's almost a ruthlessness that despite like when I think of Cristiano Ronaldo in particular, he's arguably their greatest ever player, and they were happy for him to go. So it was, and I know he was for a few years. It was kind of like, oh, he wants out, and then he would stay, and you weren't sure was he trying to get more money for a contract. But ultimately, they said, okay, fine, we'll go in another direction, and you can go. So I think, because I've also been hearing reports, I'm not sure Roberto probably knows better than me, but I've been hearing reports that Juventus are looking at Zidane. They want to sort of make that nice reunion of obviously he's a former great player. So it's like, I don't know what you know about that, Roberto. That'd be good to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Yes, like you said, and I agree with what both you guys say. On a relatively not a perfect side, but on a relatively normal side, for someone who has done so much for that team, you'd think, okay, this guy's always going to be at the job for a long time, but things change. You know how it is. The phrase I like to use is like, what have you done for me lately? Well, every year, every season, Real Madrid expects the treble. They expect to win La Liga. They expect to win Copa del Rey. They expect to win the Champions League because it's that mentality. And if you don't do it, you're out. That's how it works. It doesn't matter. And Real Madrid can do that. They show no mercy on that. We've seen that with many players who have come in, who have been so... I mean, we didn't say that they literally let go of Cristiano Ronaldo, but, they could be critical of him. It happens to everyone, that culture. And it makes sense because they're the biggest team in the world, arguably, for a reason. Their expectations are completely out of every expectation that we would ever imagine. And that only goes for some of the few clubs in the world to have that mentality, Only those clubs that are really big powerhouses who expect winning domestic title, league title, and the Champions League. The stuff that happens at Real Madrid is no different to whatever manager that they get. And in terms of what he's going to do in his future, after everything that's been going on with Andrea Pirlo and how, even that was a risky movement to begin with, and now we see the result as to why it didn't work out as we thought it would be. I would not be surprised if they go for someone like Zidane. It makes sense. The guy's won the Champions League multiple times as a player and multiple times as a manager. And that's just how it works. It works at these clubs forever. And so, yeah, again, I wouldn't be surprised, for one, if he does either get sacked or leave or whatever. But if he does end up going to Juventus, I'm not surprised because Juventus have that clout and they want to convince, and obviously a former player like Zidane, they want to bring him back and see what they can achieve with him because, as you know, guys won the Champions League 3 times. They haven't won the Champions League in 25 years. They got to find someone like that. Why not go for someone like Zinedine Zidane?
Oh, 25 years is a long time. We're going to get to Juventus at some point anyway because they deserve a bit of a conversation of their own anyway. We'll talk about Barcelona quickly before we leave La Liga and go straight to Serie. Now, for any normal club, and I say normal as in like a decent-sized club, 1 trophy in 2 years, it's not terrible. It's not a terrible thing. But when it's Barcelona and when you've got Lionel Messi in the team, regardless of how old he is or whatever he's doing, 1 trophy in 2 years is deemed a failure. And it's being criticized by many people already as it is. Same way you said Real Madrid, they won the treble every year. Barcelona, they want to be winning things every year without question, and rightfully so. So where has it gone wrong for Barcelona this year? Is it the loss of Suarez that they're missing such a key player? Is it the fact that we're seeing a lot more younger defenders and maybe come to the end of like your PKs and your Busquets and even maybe Lionel Messi's? Roberto, where do you think Barca have really failed this year?
Well, there's been a lot of factors, man. I mean, obviously we can talk about what's been going on to the pitch and how, as we remember, Barcelona had a terrible start to the season. I think they were at like 14th, 13th place in November. And, I think, but obviously, as we know, we see everything that's going on behind the scenes, the whole issues with, the president Bartomeu having to leave and resign. Then comes in Joan Laporta coming in as well. The controversy that already began at the start of the season when Messi wanted to leave Barcelona. That storm kept brewing and it continues to brew even a couple days until the end of the season. We don't know what's going to happen with him. So it's just so many factors that have been going on. So much incompetence, I would say, from obviously the administrators at Barcelona. Obviously, we know the issues that they have there in terms of like debt and their presidents and directors and whatnot. And so, yeah, when you mix up all that, you should be. I think they should be fortunate that they actually won a title in 2 years. I mean, they have that mentality to expect, winning the treble, because that's how the big clubs usually work. But given all the situation that has been going on in terms of the way the club has been run, it's a shambles. It's a shambles, and and for them to actually win a trophy, they got to get something out. I mean, yes, on a normal club, it would be amazing, and for Barcelona, they would think it's a failure. But now you look at the situations that they're in. They're fortunate enough to win it, but as they say, I think when you have that winning mentality and have been so accustomed to it, you want to keep it going, even in the darkest of situations.
Yusuf, following on what Roberto said, so we'll talk about some of the players right now, and I want to talk about Luis Suarez, because when he left, I was surprised, but not really surprised, in the sense of, again, a quality player, and I don't think he's actually slowed down too much. Obviously, age will catch up with you in football regardless when you play for so long, but they didn't look like they had a plan to really replace him and bring someone forward. And we've seen them criticize for your Braithwaites and all that, football banter, and you go from Suarez to Braithwaite and all that rubbish. But do you think they're missing that quality, that extra quality going forward? And also, do you think if they were to sign, like, for example, Sergio Aguero, who they've been linked with, do you think that will take them back up to a level, or do you think there's still so much help they need rebuilding that team?
Yeah, I think firstly, you're on Luis Suarez. I mean, you can't replace players like that. I mean, they're once in a generation. I think take away ability. I think his desire to win, and I have no respect for the guy as a human being. I dislike him so much for everything that he's done in his career, but his ruthlessness to win. I mean, I'll never forget. I don't know if you guys remember. It was a couple of years ago. He was playing for Barcelona, and he went to the referee to complain that the goalkeeper handled the ball. The goalkeeper was inside the area.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy will do anything to sort of, what is it called? Gamesmanship. You're bending the rules to gain an advantage, right? He kind of crosses the line a lot of the time. But what I'm saying is that when you have a guy with a mentality that he'll literally do anything to win, right? You can't replace that. And it's sort of like, I was very surprised that they allowed him to go, because it was almost as if Ronald Koeman came in and said, yeah, I want a younger team. You don't fit that sort of mold that I want to play, right? And sort of dismissed him, which I think was very risky, considering that he's the best friend of Lionel Messi, your star player. And imagine that was going on. You kick Suarez out the door. Messi wants to go. I mean, Roberto made a great point. Barcelona were in 14th. I remember it like it was yesterday. They were in 14th position at one point. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is really going, he's going to get sacked. I was convinced he was going to lose his job. And it's strange actually now, when you think about it, that they could have actually won the league about a week ago. They really threw it away. And it would have actually been incredible that if they had won the league, it would have, considering, as Roberto said before, that with your star player wanting to go, and he probably still wants to leave, and he's kind of, obviously, because he's Leo Messi, he's, in my opinion, he's the best player in the world. He's obviously still going to perform, right? Because he's just better than everybody else. And as you said about the players around him, I watch every Barcelona game I can watch because I love the style of play. But the problem that they have at the moment is the style of play that Guardiola took from Cruyff and then the whole world copied. Ironically, the players that Barcelona have right now, they can't actually do the style of play. Whereas you see Man City's do it, you see the Paris Saint-Germain's do it effectively, and Bayern Munich, of course. Ironically, the Barcelona, Roberto might know more than this, and he probably does, but they're still trying to play it from the back, all this, I don't want to call tiki-taka stuff, but it's not effective because now you can hound their players. They don't have Sergio Busquets has been one of the best centre midfielders in the last 10 years, is now not at the same level anymore. And that's obviously expected, right? You play centre midfield, your legs are going to go eventually. They've got a young Frankie de Jong in the middle there, who's a great technician, but it's just not the same. And when, as I said, with Luis Suarez, Barcelona's problems go back years. You lose Xavi, you lose Iniesta, you lose Carlos Puyol. He's a warrior, right? Carlos Puyol. At the back now, they've got a guy called Clement Longley, who just, every time I watch him play, it just doesn't look like it's going to work out. And I think the Barcelona fan base are not his big fans either. So yeah, they've also invested poorly into the side. I mean, huge sums of money on players that. I mean, Usmaan Dembele. I mean, the poor chap has been injured all the time. I mean, he just can't stay fully fit. You look at Griezmann, I think it was 105 million euros they spent on, what is he, 28, 29 years of age? I mean, it's incredible. Griezmann leaves Atletico, and Atletico are now going to win the league. It's incredible. And they lost Thomas Partey as well. I know we're talking about Barcelona, but I'm just saying how you reinvest in your squad is crucial. And Barcelona, unfortunately, I mean, Philippe Coutinho, another player as well, huge sums on a sort of a very, very, very good player. But it should have been on a centre back, not on an attacking midfielder. I think that's what their problem has been.
Fair enough. Let's finish quickly on this, and then we'll go to Serie A. Ronald Koeman, quickly. Roberto. They're not winning anything. So I mean, yeah, where do you go from there with him?
Well, that's the big question. I mean, obviously, with those type of clubs that expect things, you gotta look for player managers that can win you trophies. And Koeman obviously got the Copa del Rey, but one trophy is one trophy. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously with the rumors of him possibly leaving, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's kind of the type of thing that was brought in to kind of stabilize the ship a little bit more. Okay, it was kind of stabilized after what happened with Valverde and Setien last season. So yeah, I think he goes. Who comes in? I mean, Xavi's coming in, as you mentioned. I mean, obviously they might have missed him as a player, but if he's going to come in as a manager who obviously knows the Barcelona DNA and has that kind of mentality, is it a right fit? Is it good enough to convince Messi to stay as well? There's a lot of factors that are going to go in for what happens in the summer.
Yeah. Well, me personally, I think his time is up, and I think I don't know where they're going next, to be honest. But let's go straight over to Italy now. I'm just going to start with the big fish, the so-called biggest fish, and that's Juventus, who are in a awful position right now in terms of this last day top four race, going into the Champions League and who goes into the Europa League potentially. Now we know the whole mess about the European Super League, the threats apparently saying that they will exclude Juventus from Serie A if they were to continue to participate in the European Super League. Yusuf, I'm going to start, and I know, for me, I know where I come from on this side, but I want to hear you guys' opinions. Cristiano Ronaldo has won the league title at Serie A. To be honest, domestically, he's done his thing. But I think the idea is, for football fans in general, is when you sign Cristiano Ronaldo, the idea is to go and win the Champions League. Now, not only are they not winning the Champions League, they might not even qualify for the Champions League next season. Would that make Cristiano Ronaldo's move to Juventus go down as a failure?
I mean, it's a difficult question. I wish there was a simple answer in the case of, I mean, for Cristiano Ronaldo himself, well, he'll say that, I won a league title, I'm the top scorer and all the, well, not this season, but ultimately you're right. He was bought solely for the purpose of bringing the Champions League back to Turin. It was as simple as that, right? That's why they went all out, paid all that money for him. And if they were to finish fifth, I mean, I'm pretty sure he would probably want out, right? And the money that he's on, and obviously don't forget, we're still living in COVID, right? So, the financial hit that they would have taken, just as much as all the other clubs in the world, they can't really afford to keep a player like Cristiano Ronaldo on that much money that he's on. I mean, I've been reading reports every single day that he's desperate to get out. He's begging his agent, George Mendes, please save me and all this stuff. And I think they're in the Coppa Italia final, aren't they? Again, I think they're in that final. So, I mean, there might be some joy there. But, yeah, if they miss out on the Champions League, I think that would be a catastrophe. And, yeah, to answer your question when you asked at the start, I mean, I think it would be deemed a failure, really, because I think, yeah, he's brought for the Champions League. He won one league title, but this season it's all gone horribly wrong. It was a huge risk giving Pirlo the job. I was shocked. And just to bring it full circle, that's why I'm convinced that Zinedine Zidane will be the manager next year, because I think Juventus will sign Pogba and then they'll bring Zidane. That'll be the reunion that will happen, and then they'll start again. And I genuinely believe that Paul Pogba will lead that team back to glory. I feel like it's written in the stars for him there. I think that's why he wants to go back. I know we're not talking about Pogba, but I'm just saying that I just think that's what they're going to try and do. Because I was reading about Xavi. He's rejected the chance to go to Barcelona. He's extended his contract yesterday at the team that he's at by a further year, which I was surprised as well. I was convinced that as Roberto said, with the whole issue of the presidency of Barcelona, I was convinced that they'd bring Xavi in smooth. That'll keep Messi there, right? At least for another season. But now it looks like he's extended that extra year, and so. Sorry, I've gone off the track, but Juventus are finished. That's what I'll say.
Roberto, I want to hear your thoughts as well as to whether it's a failure of a move as well, and I also want to factor in. For me, I always say when Ronaldo went to Real Madrid, he wasn't going to succeed with players like, to be honest, Fernando Gago and Weston Drenthe. All respect to them, they made it in professional football, but you're not going to win titles with those guys behind you. But when you've got that midfield trio behind him with, Busquets, wrong team. Casemiro, Kroos, and Modric, you saw a balance. When you look at Juventus' team, do you see a balance? And can Ronaldo, be maybe the sole blame of that team, regardless of how the team's actually built?
Well, they're trying to at least provide that blame to him, because I think this side has just been so over-dependent on him. And, I think when you are a star player playing on any team in the world, that is a huge factor on how your team succeeds. Like, it shouldn't be just one star. I think in terms of what he was able to achieve in terms of efficiency as goals, he's probably going to win the Coppa Capitani if he is. In a way, it's a success. But Yusuf, you brought up a good point. You brought in Cristiano Ronaldo because you wanted to win the Champions League. What had happened? Eliminations to Lyon, eliminations to Ajax, and eliminations to Porto. Not good. Not good at all. Not even making it to at least the semifinals. For a club like Juventus, who have the history and obviously achieve that kind of stuff, it can't work like that. And so, yes, I think we could say it's a failure. Yeah, okay. The definition of failure is completely different in terms of how one defines it. But in terms of what the initial goal was, which was the Champions League, yes, they had failed on that end. In terms of what he was able to do, score goals, win titles in that sense, it still changed. It did not change. He was able to do that.
Yeah,
he could probably still do it this season if they beat Atalanta. But if this happens when they don't even make the Champions League, that's we're not gonna fit. We're not gonna obviously put the blame all on Ronaldo, but you look at how the team is just unbalanced. You look at how the defense is getting much more older. Obviously when you have players like Paulo Dybala sitting on the bench who could be effective and isn't performing. There's a lot of factors, and you can't really just put the blame all on Cristiano Ronaldo because he's just that one player. No, there's a lot of factors going on, and I think obviously with Pirlo and the way that he's trying to experiment with the side and manage with it, it just has not worked at all. And so that's how I personally see Juventus this season.
Now, I want to ask the question of, now, as you heard the rumors about a possibly being expelled, from Serie. We'll stick with you, Roberto, for this one. If Juventus, let's just imagine Juventus were not to participate in Serie next season, one, does that damage the reputation of the league in the sense of one of his biggest boys, one of his biggest attractions are not a part of their league? Or does it open up maybe a new window to maybe like a team like Atalanta, who have been so good in the last couple of years but don't have the eye on them like Juventus do, or even still like an Inter Milan?
Firstly, I don't think it's going to happen. That's one thing. I don't think it will go to that extent. It always happens. These kind of rumors, these kind of threats, they always get solved. We saw that with the Super League. So, so I can't really answer that question. But if it were to happen, you have teams like Inter that already won Serie A. You got Milan that's challenging. Obviously, we have, like you mentioned, Atalanta, who have always punched above their weight over the last few seasons. They're always there. Napoli, Roma now with Jose Mourinho. It's fun to see, I think, now a Serie A side that, and we can only hope that we get that kind of parity next season. Obviously, we don't want Inter's win to be an outlier of more successive Juventus titles for the next few seasons. No, we want to see teams like Milan fight for it. We want to see teams like Napoli who have done it as well. Atalanta, that kind of thing. And it's entertaining. And I think because of that, it's allowed more people to focus onto the league itself. And I think that's a good thing for the league. And even with Juventus, I mean, that's still going to catch a lot of attention and a lot of eyes. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to do a little bit of a prediction here because the biggest game, excuse me, of that weekend will be Atalanta playing at home against AC Milan. Now, Juventus, in hindsight, do need Atalanta to win that game, or maybe at least draw it if they can beat Bologna. Inter Milan are obviously champions, and Napoli. Who did Napoli play? Verona. That's it. They play Verona as well. What are we saying? Do you think Juventus will get through to the top four? We'll go with Yusuf first. Do you think the result in the Atalanta Milan game will benefit Juventus, or do you think they're in trouble?
You know what football is? I think Roberta said at the start of the show that you just never know on the day what's going to happen, right? I mean, it's so hard to predict. My gut feeling, I don't know why. I feel like Juve are going to scrape there, and it'll. I don't know why I just think that. I sort of can just think that I can picture Cristiano Ronaldo saving them, like he always does. Yeah. But I just have a gut feeling that they might just about get it. But I wouldn't be sad if they didn't. I'll put it that way. But yeah.
And Roberto, I know it's football and if it can happen, but I'm just looking for a prediction sort of thing here.
Well, I think with Milan dropping points as well a couple of days ago, I think that opened a huge door for Juventus to go in there. And so I think on the day, and you bring up a good point, I think when push comes to shove and you have someone like Ronaldo, who we know is clutch, is a clutch player and can perform at the highest levels, you need him to step up. And I think he does step up and help Juventus, but it's going to take a lot for that to happen. So yeah, I think Juventus, even in probably one of their worst seasons in quite a long time, I think they still make the Champions League.
Fair. All right, we'll finish off here with Ligue 1 and we'll go to France and PSG. Now, PSG, they play Brest, who, I hope I said that name right, who are actually still in a relegation battle. They are outside of the bottom three, but the gap is only 1 point between them and Nantes, I believe. So let's go a more broader question. Yusuf, if PSG fail to win the title, I know Pochettino has not been there for a full season, but again, you know how football works, and again, their history with managers in recent time as well. If he wasn't to win the league, would they deem him a failure, and do you think it will lead to him being sacked potentially, or do you think that he deserves more time based on the fact he hasn't had a full season?
Based on the last thing that you just said, I mean, you have to give a man the time, of course. But I think that he has had. I mean, if you have Kylian Mbappe and Neymar and Angel Di Maria as a front three, and then behind that you have Marco Verratti, Leandro Paredes, you have that's a solid team, right? You should be winning the league. I know the Lille do absolutely amazing. I haven't got enough good things to say about that team. They're doing so good, and I really hope that they can just hold on and win it, because I think it's a victory for football as well, that you can be a superpower and just sort of I think it's a great story for them. I hope they do it. But I think Pochettino might get sacked, because I don't think that he's on a big contract. Is he on an 18-month contract?
I believe so.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they sacked him. It really wouldn't, especially because I thought they were going to win the Champions League, but they got taught a lesson against Man City. And I know he didn't have Mbappe in the second leg. Everyone will say that. That's a valid argument. But I think that ultimately, if you obviously on any day you can lose to Man City, right? That's arguably the best team in the world right now. So he may be forgiven for that. As you said, he hasn't had a full season yet, and he obviously took over from Tuchel. But I think that. I think that he's a threat if they don't win the league, because I think when he joined that, I remember all the jokes that people were saying that another person leaves Tottenham and he'll get a medal and all this, and then it just do you know what I mean, all that talk. And I think that if they don't hold on, they're a point behind Lille going into the final day, right? Yes. So, Lille could have won it. They could have won it last game. You couldn't. Yeah. So, but now I'm having a bad feeling that PSG are going to win dramatic scenes. Oh no, we can't have that. I hope that Lille can hold on. But I think he might lose his job if they don't do it yet.
Okay, but Roberto, something Yusuf said kind of piqued my interest a little bit, and it's because it's something I've been thinking about with PSG for a while. So I want to relay this forward to you. I don't believe that squad is actually very good. Now, I think it's more than good enough to win League One, of course. But do you look at that squad and say there is a correct balance in that team?
I get what you're saying. I think when you look at the side, yes, when you have two world-class players, like actually three, I would say. I think Di Maria's class, but when you put Neymar and Kylian Mbappe, you have defenders like Marco Verratti, when you have a world-class goalkeeper, I would say, in Keylor Navas, you think that there is that balance. But at the same time, you're thinking, you have Kimpembe, who's a great player, but maybe not in that ultra level of world-class. I think... same with Leandro Paredes, for example. Great player, but maybe not onto that level. So yeah, I think what PSG need to do is, and I really don't think Pochettino gets sacked. Honestly, I just think that maybe for him to be in that spot in January to come in, it was going to be hard enough to obviously go and create your own team, and no one's going to evolve, and no one's going to make a team like that work out in such a short amount of time. So you have to give him more time. That's why I think that 18-month contract happened, just in case something were to happen, that, okay, at least he gets another shot this next season and we'll see how it goes, where obviously the expectation is to win everything out there. But I agree. I think they definitely, and obviously, will that have to be to sell on? I know they extended the contract for Neymar, but, what about Kylian Mbappe? What's next for him? What will they do with, I'm sure it's going to be a huge amount of money. What will they do with that money? Will they try to invest it into superstar players that could be, like a Erling Haaland or something like that? Or do they try to build the base of the squad to make it, one, more younger, two, more world-class in a way, and, then try to create that winning formula that allows them to go and compete for the Champions League, which, I think they are a good side in comparison to what you think, but I get what you're saying about how it's not at the ultra level like a City, obviously, or a Bayern, for example. I get what you're saying on that end. But they definitely have to improve their talents for them to actually really seriously be a contender, and I'm meaning like undisputed contender for the Champions League.
Yeah. So do you think that's well, this is an open question to both, so whoever wants to can take the floor on this one. Because when you look at City, there isn't an over-reliance, for example, on one or two specific players. I think everyone in that team functions very well, to the extent that when Kevin De Bruyne is missing sometimes, maybe Gundogan this season has taken a forward step this year, and then Ferran Torres at times this season, and Sterling, even though he hasn't had a great season per se, his numbers are still very good. You can say the same about Bayern Munich as well. No Lewandowski's numbers, but you got Gnabry, you've got Thomas Muller, so on and so forth. So with PSG, is there an over-reliance on those two players, and knowing for what that the other players are so good, like a Di Maria's? Someone asked me this question. I didn't agree to it, but do you think their reliance on, despite having so much talented players, on Mbappe and Neymar is kind of similar to sort of like, even though Argentina have so much attacking talent, Messi is the be-all and end-all?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of comparisons that you can make, a lot of parallels. I think certainly both teams are talented in their own right, but they are reliant on those superstar players. I think when you look at teams like a City, a Bayern, even a Real Madrid, when you think about it, they're the sides that are able to go jump the hoop and win trophies and be competitive for a significant amount of time. I think what PSG has to do is try to find that formula that allows them to be strong on all ends: goalkeeper, defender, midfield, and the attack. And there's other factors that go in. I mean, obviously, players get old. You have to chop and change always. Generations and cycles always happen. I get that. But when you're a side like PSG, who have a ton of money and can indeed invest when they have to, you got to take advantage of it. And from there on, that's how they can really become serious about not just being a side that is winning everything in France, but everything in Europe, Champions League, and to be one of the best in the world. To be the best in the world, I should say. I mean, I think they are one of the best teams in the world, but to be the best in the world, to be where City are at right now, or what Bayern were at, or Barca, or Real Madrid, that kind of thing, they need to be able to invest, and that will depend on how they use their money wisely. If they do sell on Kylian Mbappe, or if they want to keep him, that's going to be the big question mark, I think, heading into the summer, especially after the Euros. So, yeah, I think there is very much a side that is talented on its day. I agree, but I think needs to be more balanced so they don't have to stumble upon those issues that puts them into the spot of having to go into the final match day of the Liga season, needing a win.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping. I do kind of hope that PSG do end up winning the league. I know that's not the. Trust me, I'm not one for fairy tale stories. I don't give a poop or all that kind of stuff. I don't of Lille, and when Monaco won, I didn't care about how beautiful that was. I want action. I want drama, and I feel like Lille winning it will be dramatic because they haven't won a title in God knows how long now. But at the same time, I feel like I want Pochettino to win something. And people gotta listen to this about him. Michael's on the Pochettino stuff again. I love the guy. It is what it is. I want him to succeed. But we'll end it here. And I just want to thank you two for joining me on this show, of course. So Roberto, you've been doing wonderful things. I've known you for a while now. Low Limit Football, anyone, I'm going to let you plug everything, but anyone that's listening to this right now, Low Limit Football, and it's FUTBOL football, not like spelling of football. Low Limit
Football with the Spanish accent.
There you go, football. Low Limit Football is one of the best podcasts about point blank period. I'm not saying that because I know Roberto personally. I'm saying that because it's fact. I enjoy listening to that podcast because I choose my podcast very, very carefully. I don't just listen to any sort of podcast, and they blew me away from the first time I listened to them, and from now on it's still the same. So Roberto, please plug your podcast, yourself, and anything else you're doing as well.
I think you kind of mentioned it there, and I appreciate the kind words, Kojo. Obviously find me Roberto Rojas 97. That is my Twitter. Obviously follow the podcast Low Limit Football. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff heading into obviously the end of the season, the Champions League finals, Euros, Copa America, whatever. We'll definitely be covering it. And also you can check out the other podcast that I'm doing called Guarani Vision, which is the first ever podcast dedicated to Paraguayan football in English. We are trying to do a weekly show where we're able to educate people about Paraguayan football, what's going on with the league, the games in the Copa Libertadores, Sudamericana, the national team, because we got World Cup qualifiers, and the Copa America, like I mentioned. So obviously we will be doing a lot of stuff there. And yeah, like I said, make sure to follow us there on all the social media handles that we have. And again, Kojo, thank you so much for having me. It's a blast.
Thank you for joining me, man. It's been a real pleasure having you on. I've missed you. I told you I missed you, man. So it's good to have you and see you again. And Yusuf, my brother, please plug yourself, because now you are going to become more of a regular on this, by the way. So, I want you to be ready for that. But yeah, plug yourself, my bro.
No, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and it's also great to speak to Roberto as well today, man. Good to meet you as well, and I'll be looking out for your stuff as well going forward. So I'm at 3 Chef Curry. I'm on Twitter. I'm new to this, so I haven't got anything to plug, but hopefully in time I'll try and put some stuff out eventually, hopefully. But that's all I can say. But thanks for letting me be on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, my brother. And for myself personally speaking, obviously you can find me here on the Kojo Show and Usmaan Talks United every Wednesday, or most Wednesdays, I should say, at 7 p.m. Also on Mondays on the Rival Fan Podcast on the same YouTube channel, as well as main United content and all of this channel. My own personal podcast, Free Midfield, is Free Midfield Podcast on YouTube, Free Midfield on Twitter, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. Come check us out. Every Monday we record, and we release every Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how I'm feeling. But other than that, this is a nice little message for Cahill, who always does watch my content. So please put respect on Graham Potter's name, who came back 2-0 down against the great Guardiola and 1-3-2. Please put respect on his name. See you guys next Wednesday. Thank you for tuning in.